What's up, guys, and welcome back to another video. And today we are going to be ranking all of the Spider-Man movies for the first time. Let's get into it. First up, we have the original Spider-Man 2002. Now, this movie, in my opinion, is the perfect origin. It balances the origin with him trying to find out who he really is with the great villain of Green Goblin. It's a perfect Spider-Man origin story. It has perfect villains. It's basically a perfect Spider-Man movie. So I'm going to put it in the best tier. Next up we have Spider-Man 2. Now this movie I don't like as much as the first one because I don't feel like it makes sense how he can lose powers from his mental stability not being too good. But other than that, it's another perfect Spider-Man movie with a perfect villain with a perfect character arc. It's pretty much one of the epitomes of a perfect sequel. Just that's what holds it back from being up higher in my opinion. Next up, we have Spider-Man 3. Now, I actually don't dislike this as much as most people do. I still don't think it's the best, but I do think it has some very fun moments. And I feel like it had a great end to Harry Osborn's character arc, which through that and the stakes being raised high made for a very fun finale, but it is a very bad movie. So I'm going to put it in the meh tier. Next up, we have The Amazing Spider-Man. Now, this movie is alright. It's good, but it's not perfect like the original Origin was. This one basically did the same thing as the Tobey Maguire one, just it did not have the same lines of dialogue, but it pretty much had the same origin other than that. The Lizards and all is a pretty good villain until we hear about the whole thing with the city, so that puts it down. Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone have great chemistry. So overall, this is a very mid Spider-Man movie, but I'm gonna put it in the good tier because I do love Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. Now, next up we have The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Now, this is a movie, I know it's bad, I know it has a ton of issues with it, but I honestly love this movie. The good in this is so good that it makes me love the movie. This might be one of my most rewatchable Spider-Man movies. It probably is, other than maybe Across the Spider-Verse, but I've only seen that once, so I don't know how rewatchable that movie is. But at the moment, this is probably the most rewatchable Spider-Man movie. I feel like if you just turn your brain off and just watch it, I have a lot of fun. It puts a grin on my face. It has a great death scene with Gwen Stacy, so I'm gonna put it in the best tier, even though I know it's not good. Next up we have Spider-Man Homecoming. Now this movie is pretty great. Uh, I know a lot of people have issues with the Iron Man tech stuff. I don't really care. There's nothing I really find to be bad about this movie. It's just the good doesn't stand out too well, and Spider-Man does pretty much no action stuff, and the action is pretty bad. But other than that, that is why it is in the great tier. I really like his character arc. It's an interesting thing that you probably couldn't do with any other Spider-Man movie or version of Spider-Man. Next up, we have Spider-Man Far From Home. Now, I'm going to easily put this in the meh tier. Other than maybe Morbius, this is probably my least favorite Spider-Man movie. Now, this is because I just feel like this isn't a Spider-Man movie at all. 99% of the plot lines and character arcs relate to Iron Man. All the character arcs, all the story stuff, it all just relates to Iron Man. Just call it frickin' Iron Man 4. The only thing that isn't really all related to Iron Man is the stuff with the whole field trip thing. It's fun, but it's not peak Spider-Man. We have no really great Spider-Man moments in this. It's more just like an Iron Man 4, just a legacy movie about him. But also we kind of reuse a plotline that Mysterio has that is used in so many other movies about him having scorn for Tony Stark and he wants revenge on him, which is very weird because it's now beyond the grave. Although I feel like this is the villain that's handled the best of that sort of anger towards Stark. But other than that, it's kind of a generic Iron Man movie. I don't even want to call it a Spider-Man movie. Next up we have Spider-Man No Way Home. Now this was probably my number one about 2 years ago when it came out. But it came down some. It's very fun the first time you watch it, and it's still very fun. But if you sit down and think about it, like, it doesn't make sense why they didn't just stop to think about, like, the parameters of the spell. It's a very fun movie, but I feel like the first act on rewatch isn't as good as the second act at all, and it's a bit of like a hassle to get through that first act when you're rewatching it. So I'm gonna put it in the best tier behind The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Now next up we have Venom. Now I think this is a very like meh tier movie, or actually I think I'm gonna put it in the good because this movie is very fun. It's another one of those turn your brain off kinds of things. But this I actually do have big problems with. I feel like it's kind of weird and all, but that's just my opinion. Some people like love it for being dumb. I feel like the dumb stuff wasn't working, and the stuff that they did do in this, which was very much improved in Venom Let There Be Carnage, which I feel like is another good tier. It's another like fun but flawed movie, but I don't really have real issues with this. It's just it's not as enjoyable as much other stuff on this list. Next up we have Morbius. Okay, yep. Now next up we have Into the Spider-Verse. Now was my favorite animated movie. It has a perfect character arc for to start out Miles' journey. It has a perfect character arc for every single character. It's a very fun movie. The comedy's great. The characters are great. There's really no issues in my opinion with this movie. I just don't like it as much as the sequel and the first Tobey movie. And the sequel, that being Across the Spider-Verse, is my favorite Spider-Man movie. Now, I'm not going to get into spoilers, but the cliffhanger for this makes me just so excited. And this movie gave Miles, and especially Gwen, great character arcs that are very fleshed out. And it might be some of the best written, like, character arcs we had in any of these Spider-Man movies. It has some really interesting things where we thought we knew what was going on in the first movie, but it doesn't. The Spot is this weird, was in the comics just a joke villain. And this movie does a very good job at escalating him, and they do still kind of keep it true to the comics. And all like the Spider-Man lore and stuff that they do with this movie is just amazing. So this is easily my favorite Spider-Man movie. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe. I'll see you in other videos. Bye.